let's have a measure of these EarMuffs. So this is the sample that got sent over. Presumably it has some EVA sealing between this white plastic and the outer shell, which is going to improve the isolation. So we'll start off with nothing. Then we'll put this baby on. It's heavy, you have to get used to how heavy the headband is. And we'll run this sweep there. That doesn't mean anything because we don't have a frequency response. We don't have a what's the name, so we'll ignore the low frequency. As a matter of fact, what I'll do is I'm going to change the signal type because that is not very helpful, or we'll get better resolution with this stepping tones piezo rather than a little bit slower, but we get a good again, resolution is the word for it. We get a good measurement that way. Good immunity to noise from outside and whatever else might happen. There we go. So pretty decent looking noise isolation. Let's have a look at my curves over here. Yeah, that we might actually just peak that down a smidge. Make sure we get clean data. Yep, that'll do the trick, I think. Yeah. It's kind of seated nicely, I guess. Yeah, still looks good. This one is showing us the level at each frequency when there's no headphone and then when there is a headphone. So it's the gap between those two sets of lines that is the noise isolation, and there it is plotted just as the gap that it actually is. So that looks fairly familiar. We're at around this -20 mark up to say 300 Hertz, and then we get down to -40-ish basically. So I think that looks pretty okay. What I'll do, I'll just store that. I suspect from memory these numbers are probably slightly less than what the KTC measurement. Run it again. It's good, it's good. There we go. Yep, I'll grab a store on that. What I'll do actually is I'll get the old sample that I have. This one was sent some time ago. Let's just compare and see how it looks compared to that. Put that one out of the way. We'll get a baseline. Wow, jam that in. Oh, there we go. Let's slide that up a bit. And try and seat it fairly nicely, as we did with the other one. Gee, something comes to mind. The air sealing is so damn good with this that we may have to just try and do a little trick to let it equalize the pressure so we don't... that'll do the trick. I'll just wedge a little thing in there just to let out any air pressure, because I notice it's so well sealed that better do it on this one actually. Ooh, big improvement there. That's right, this one had a massive difference between left and right. So what it looks like is one side of this, the left-hand side as it happens, is actually pretty well sealed, and we're getting more or less the same performance as we do with the new one, but the right side was not sealed, and so we get much less performance. So whatever the reason, I think I noticed this before, there's a big difference between left and right. Okay, good. Let me just run this one again. And we'll pop this in place. I'll do that little trick. What I'll do is I'll just break the seal. I'll show you why shortly. But they're so well sealed. Yep, this is the same. It's okay. They're so well sealed that you can actually get a pressure lock in there. I'll show you what that looks like. Listen to this. Squash them together. Pop. Okay, good. So performance-wise, we'll store that. I think I already stored one. But just at a quick look, I think we are getting the target that we want, more or less. How that would compare to the Pelter, I can't say just at the moment, but if we look at the KTC measurements, we're obviously at least equal to, perhaps slightly ahead of them, so that's good. Other facets, I think the build's looking pretty good now. I noticed one thing. Okay, so there was a little silicone grommet that goes on there. I'm going to unscrew that and check it out. Bear with me for 1 second. There we go, the little silicone grommet just popped out. And so I thought it would have been installed from the inside, so there's no way you can actually pull it through, but maybe that's just mocked up a little bit. Let's see if we can get this baby off. Geez, it's tough work in that. In there. How long are those screws? Long is the answer. How do these guys screw them in production without damaging the cosmetic? That must be pretty tough. Let's have a look at this part. Okay, it doesn't obviously show you whether or not, but you'd expect that there'd be you'll push it through from the inside here, and there's be a big flange, so you can't actually bring it out the other side. Okay. Let's see if we can screw these back up again. That will be tough. Other than that, I think we're good to go. Going to have a bit of a play around, a few more measurements, but with one sample we're not going to learn too much more than what we've seen here, and that is to say that the passive isolation, at a bit of a look, it looks to be very much on par with let's call it the industry standard. So I think we can call that a win, and it's well balanced too, left and right. I mean, close enough, so excellent. There we go.